Karim Kanji. Thank you so much for joining us again. Today I am very excited to finally meet a good friend of mine, Gregg Tilston. How you doing, buddy?
Good, you?
Excellent.
Good.
I see that because you're always traveling.
I am. I just got home. What day is it today?
Today's Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday. So
Yes.
I got home on Thursday.
You got home on Thursday.
From about 3 weeks in Australia and New Zealand.
And before that? You've been like all over the place.
Yeah,
You're
no.
skiing in
Oh
Ontario.
yeah, I was out skiing in
Vancouver.
Killington, and we had our global social media conference out at Sun Peaks in BC. That was spectacular. A couple of days of meetings, a couple of days of skiing.
Which you organized.
Yeah, not self-serving at all.
No. And then you came back from Australia and New Zealand.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Got back.
Awesome. And so how was your holiday? And it wasn't for holidays, it was for work.
It was for work.
Awesome.
It absolutely was. A week and a half at head office in Brisbane. I guess 2 days in Sydney, and then 2 days in Auckland.
So let's reverse. I know a lot of people know you, but there might be a few who don't.
Sure.
You are the global head of social media for Flight Center.
Yep. Global social media leader.
Global social media leader.
Yep.
What is that? So we all know you. Okay, social media, he leads it. What is your role? What are you responsible for?
Essentially, I work with our social media specialists and our brands around the world. We have about 36 brands in about a dozen countries. So it's quite a big undertaking, and we have full-time social media specialists and then marketing people within those organizations, within those brands, and really working with them to figure out how we can best leverage social media to help drive business, drive our campaigns, drive traffic to our websites. I firmly believe that social media is a driver of SEO.
Okay.
I've always believed that since you and I met years and years ago.
Yeah.
And it really is about how much can we leverage social media to increase our brand awareness and drive people to our website.
So let me talk about that. Let's talk about that social media as a driver of SEO.
Yes.
What does that mean? You know, most people, when you think about that, they're thinking, okay, I need to optimize my website. I need to buy Google AdWords. Where does social play this role?
I think social is a great way to build a whole bunch of outbound. Sorry, let me say it again. I think social is a great way to build a whole bunch of inbound links to your website. So it really is about, and don't get me wrong, social is a lot about the customer service. It's a huge component for us. It's about the love.
Yeah.
It's about community engagement and building community. Absolutely. But it's also about building a whole bunch of inbound links to your website and your content, whatever your content strategy happens to be. Ours happen to be built around our blogs. Okay. So the teams, regularly blog about travel content, and then go to social and create a whole bunch of inbound links. It's also great from a content hosting perspective. So hosting content on YouTube, not taxing our servers, for example. Okay.
Perfect. And so when you're creating these inbound links, why does that play a positive role, and what sort of results have you seen? When people are searching on Bing and people are searching on Google.
Right, absolutely. So I guess one of the biggest things certainly from our perspective in the blogs is that if you set up your strategy properly, put your content out regularly, content that's relevant to your business. Yeah. Certainly have your blog set up to ping, whether it's your FeedBurner or some other service, ping Google and Bing. Make sure that they realize that there's new content. From the perspective of then going out to Twitter, Facebook, other social channels, syndicating your content is a great way to do it as well if you have a blog. Syndicating your content so that you're creating, again, a whole bunch of links coming in. We noticed that some of our content was actually being indexed, like inside the Google index, like without logging in, without personalization, within about 15 to 20 minutes. So if you think about it from the perspective of you got a new blog post, you put it out there, it's a real quick way to get Google to recognize
that there's new
content, and then if you're properly linking, again, not too many links, but linking to other areas within your website, we're really trying to funnel Google from the blog down to other areas of your website to index it, and hopefully increase its relevance.
Now, people, when they're talking about travel, or people are looking for travel options and such, do you combine both earned media with with ads?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it depends on our brand to brand and our country by country in terms of the budgets that are put against it. But certainly, paid on Facebook is a big part of helping to elevate your organic reach as well. not sure what the exact X factor is, but certainly, you know, when we put X amount of spend against it, it will double the reach usually of the organic.
Okay.
So it's a great way to, you know, reach more and more people.
Interesting. Do you come up against having to purchase certain keywords, or do you guys keep away from that, knowing how powerful your blog and your social are?
Spend against the blog, there's not really a lot of that per se. Any of our social spend is more to accumulate community and grow our community numbers.
Okay.
Or drive people to a campaign. So we might have a contest on Facebook, and it's about driving people to that. And you know, certainly with Facebook ads, you have a great opportunity to target demographic. You know, you're obviously going to increase your price as you're getting further and further down the target.
Yeah.
But it's a great opportunity for us. You know, when we look at our demographics being, you know, I'll say primarily, one brand might have primarily female, 25 to 45 as the demographic. You know, we can really start to hone in on that demographic. Plus, they like to travel. Plus, they have a family. You know, really targeted advertising.
Interesting. So a couple of questions, Greg, come out of this. So number one, there was talk, you know, last year, and it's probably still ongoing, whereby, you know, people have debated, you know, whether or not brands should have to purchase ads in order to reach the community that they've already built.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that? Because you actively do that. We've talked about it offline as well. You say, listen, I have no problem because I spent X amount of dollars and I know how much is going to come back.
Right.
Talk to us about that.
I think one of the big misnomers, if you will, is that social media is absolutely free.
Sure.
When people in marketing that don't know a lot about social media hire a social media person and go, okay, go and, you know, increase our community to hundreds of thousands and get us all these inbound links for free, you can get there, but it's going to take time. Whereby putting some spend against it, again, will you know, 2-3x your actual reach. And the spends don't have to be huge. I mean, you know, we have some brands that spend a bit on social, like a larger chunk of money on social spending and social ads, and then we have some brands that, you know, spend considerably smaller spends, I guess, if you will. You know, and then the results end up being relevant to it. To be honest with you, I think one of the best ways that we can do it is via engagement. Through a mix of, you know, campaigns, a mix of content, a mix of contests. And again, you don't want to just go out with contests so that you're getting, you know, habitual contest enterers.
Yeah,
is that a
sure.
right term?
That's all that they do is enter contests.
So we don't want to necessarily have that crowd like our page because you know, often you'll see that crowd disappears once the contest is over.
Yeah.
You really want to target the people that our audience, that our community already have within their group of friends, and how do we do that? And I think, you know, contesting allows us to do that, but then I also believe that, you know, spend against getting the proper audience is important too.
Interesting. Can you turn off an audience by having too many contests? Have you experienced that at all, or is travel something that people would love to enter as many times as possible?
Yeah. I think there's two parts to that. One, you can have so many contests that you've collected a whole bunch of those habitual contest enterers, and they may not necessarily be your target audience. That said, one of the things that I think that travel has to its advantage is everybody loves to travel, and everybody loves to share their travels. So I think we as travel marketers, that's one of the biggest challenges that we have. When I say challenges, a good challenge compared to a lot of industries, is that you know, the challenge is how do we help our community tell more of those stories, share more of our content, share more of their content that we've, you know, engaged them with, thus bringing their friends into our community, or at least inviting their friends to come and join our community.
All of your Facebook pages, I'm very curious about this. Are they branded, you know, Flight Center or your different brands, or do they have that brand name on there?
We've taken it as far as it's not just by brands, but then it's also by country.
Okay.
So if you go to facebook.com/flightcenterca for Canada. Okay. Facebook.com/flightcenterau for Australia. Okay. And then each of our countries thereafter. They're very different experiences, and part of it has to do with our branding, and then part of it also has to do with making sure that, you know, we're giving the community to the local area what they want. Because what works in Canada might not work in Australia, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things we're working on this year is optimizing our engagement on Facebook. We're having a KPI base. So one of our big things is engagement.
Okay.
How do we increase our engagement?
Okay.
And that's
so
really,
it's not as easy as let's just throw up a contest and we're going to increase engagement.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Or content. A lot of people will just go out and they think if I jump on and make 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever the number is of posts on Facebook, my community is going to grow and my engagement is going to grow. Mm-hmm. When in actual fact, Facebook have all the tools for you to optimize your content. Mm-hmm. If you properly analyze what's working and what's not working, you can optimize on what's working, get rid of what's not working.
One of my favorite pages on Facebook is I effing love science.
Okay.
Have you seen that? Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on, not that page specifically, but having a non-branded page really push forward the idea, specifically of travel. So whether it's I effing love to travel or whatever, having it being backed by flights. Now, you'll have to pay me if you actually use this idea. Okay. But I'm just kidding. Perfect. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts on non-branded pages? Or non-corporate branded pages? Yeah, no, I understand that. We have a bit of a mix of that already within our organization. We have a website. We have a few actually, but if I'm thinking of 1 or 2, gapyear.com. Okay. Which is a site that was created quite a while ago, and it was fairly significant. I don't know if you're familiar with the term gap year, but it's the year you take off, often between high school and university, or university and find yourself,
find a job. Yeah, and sometimes it's midlife. Sure. I've been right-sized in my organization, time to go for a year, and sometimes it's right before retirement. So we have gapyear.com as one of our communities, and it's really about a place where people can go and talk about their gap year and what they're doing. And we've worked with it in terms of trying to figure out the balance of how much branding goes on there versus like Flight Center branding or whatever brand it's supporting, versus just letting the community go on its own. I think when you let the community go on its own, it grows organically, and people want to go and share that. Then you got to figure when the time is right, when somebody jumps in and engages, or say moderator or something on behalf of our brands. Another one is Go Volunteering here in Canada.
I've seen that.
So Go Volunteering is another example of where it's just about...
Or Go Volunteering, wasn't it?
Go Volunteering.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Go Volunteering.
No.
That's fine.
Seriously. Yeah. So Go Volunteering is a great example of... And I'm going to have to watch the tape to confirm that.
Fair enough.
Fair. Whereby it's just really, the point of it is to facilitate the conversations and the community around about traveling and volunteering when you're on the road.
Interesting. Because the reason I bring that up is there's one site, IF and Life Science, that really does, the moderator or the owner throws up daily content, and that stuff just gets shared, it gets liked, it gets commented on, without any sort of prodding for anything. You win an interview. There's nothing. There's
Vintage TO or Vintage Toronto.
That's another one.
Fantastic site.
Yeah.
They post all old photos, and content from around Toronto over the years. Yeah. And the amount of engagement. And shares. I mean, I love it when it comes into my feed. I mean, obviously it's coming in more because I'm engaging on the content. Yeah. But yeah, that's a great example of a site or a Facebook page that's non-branded, and all it is about the community.
Yes, I'm curious whether brands are going to go that way, or if it's, it's going to get a lot of engagement, but how can we, like you said, measure the KPIs? How can we actually bring these people to flightcenter.ca or whatever the website is, or business is done?
I don't know if there's a specific answer to that. I think it's going to have to be through trial and error, depending on the brand, depending on the company. I think you could do it through an engaging, whether it's a Facebook page or a website or a campaign or a contest. Yeah, I think you have the ability to do that. But again, it's a fine line you're walking. Yeah, because you want to let the community grow themselves. Sure. And as soon as you come in to pitch, the community's going to say stop. Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious if anyone's watching this and you know of brands that are doing this, that are actually measuring against that. We'd love to hear from you. You can comment in the comment section.
Another question.
Just comment section
down there, could be to the side.
Yeah.
You never know where these things
Okay, cool. Just
end up. Another thing I wanted to ask you, Greg, was: is social becoming more about paid media rather than earned media? And the reason I bring that up is that if it's simple, and maybe I'm just picking on travel, but I've seen it in other brands. If it's simple enough to, get people to enter a contest to win something where they're going to, come into a store, and they know that, out of 10 people that come into the store, 2 people are going to buy, so it's worth doing it. Or in your case, you know that if 10 people come to the website, how many of those people are actually going to buy travel? So you've got, numbers associated with that.
Yeah.
So, is social becoming more about paid media rather than earned media? So forget about engagement. Let's just, give something away and we're going to get 100 new emails or 100 more people to come into our store.
Okay, so to clarify one thing,
sure.
We're very shop-based. We're very brick and mortar.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, when I talk about people going to the website, we're trying to then convert them from there to either go into a shop or pick up a phone and call us.
Absolutely.
Is it becoming more about paid versus earned? I think it's a mix. I really do. I don't think it's just about paying people to get to your contest. I think it's, if you're not focusing on engagement, your content's not showing up in people's news feeds, and they're not learning about what you're doing or finding out about what you're doing. So you can throw as much paid against it as possible. Don't get me wrong, paid helps. Again, paid helps X.
Sure.
The organic. I don't know where I was going with that.
People having the content. I think you were going to argue that the content still does matter.
I think absolutely the content matters.
Yeah.
And making sure that you're analyzing what's working in terms of your content and your engagement and what's not, so that when you have a message to go out to drive people to the website and you're sponsoring that, for example, a sponsored post.
Sure.
Again, if Facebook's not considering it to be really relevant content that people want to consume, it's not going to show up organically, and when you pay for it, you're going to pay a heck of a lot more than if Facebook considers your engagement score. Flight Center Australia do it. Sam down at Flight Center Australia does an amazing job of engagement and optimizing on engagement. And I can't tell you the numbers specifically, but I can tell you what she pays for promoted posts, what she's getting per click is absolutely ridiculous. It's so low. It's amazing.
Because of the people are already engaged.
Because the people are already engaging. So it's got to be a mix.
Yeah.
If not, hers would be
paying more.
Considerably more.
Sure.
Yep.
You're not willing to test it yourself, though.
Not really, sorry?
In terms of going against what the numbers say. Would you be willing to test it for a month and go against what the numbers say just to prove to yourself that it does actually matter?
No, because I do believe it still has to be a mixed approach. It still has to be a blended approach.
All right. I'm just testing.
That's fine.
All right. and so you talked about, you want people to phone, you want people to walk into the stores.
Yeah.
I'm curious, does anything ever happen at the store level in terms of social, or is that up to your team?
No, absolutely. So from a marketing perspective, we've had campaigns in Australia, for example, where we put out a social saver on a Friday.
Okay.
Or a deal.
Yeah.
A social deal on a Friday. And, there's an activation code. People have to call up and book it. And, again, depending on the offer, if it's nothing significant, it doesn't move a lot. But if it's a significant offer, it's quite amazing how much that can actually move people to pick up the phone and book with us.
Interesting.
So, certainly it's not, it has to be the right offer to the right audience, for sure. And that was actually without any spend against that one. That was strictly organic.
Interesting.
But there are other examples as well where we put out offers.
Let's get off of travel.
All right.
Let's talk about 2 other things before we end off. So one of the things I want to talk about is what have you learned, and maybe you've learned nothing from this, which would be a good thing though.
Okay.
But what have you learned?
You're scaring me.
What have you learned from the recent Burger King and Jeep fiasco? Or is there really nothing to
MTV?
I missed that.
Well,
when was MTV?
This afternoon.
Okay.
Just after Jeep.
Busy
quite a while after Burger King. quite a while on the terms.
So yesterday was Burger King.
Yesterday was Burger King.
Today
This morning was Jeep, and this afternoon was MTV. Apparently.
And so by the time this comes out, there might be some other brands.
You know what? By the time we finish this,
there might be some.
We should look online because there's probably something else happening.
What is going wrong? Forget about what Anonymous or whoever else is doing this.
Yeah.
But what are these companies doing wrong? Because
I think
they are doing something wrong.
I love the gang at Twitter.
Yeah.
The friends at Twitter.
Yeah.
But I think we're realizing from a login perspective and a security, I think we're at a point where we need to do something about that. Not we.
Sure.
Twitter
needs to do something.
Yeah. And again, maybe I'm wrong, but
double passwords, double authentication.
I don't know what it is. There's got to be something. There's got to
Yeah.
be something coming down the pipe, and I think these three examples, of assuming, and some people have questioned whether MTV is legit or like legitimately hacked, or if it's just them being cheeky.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But I think that's brought it to light. I think making sure that your passwords are secure with one individual or a specific set of individuals is going to be important. I think leveraging a tool that people access to post to social media is going to be very important.
Yeah.
From the disgruntled employee, and again, if they're still in the office, tweeting about the firing, right? You're not going to be able to stop that until they're out and you've locked them out. But utilizing a tool like Hootsuite to make sure that people are publishing through a tool that's publishing to social. Take that a little bit further. You could go as far as ensuring, like I thought of the situation, I hate to say it, but the Vaughn situation. I mean, if that had to, if somebody did that obviously as they were going home thinking they were publishing to their personal account, if they're going to publish to the business account, let's make sure that if it's really that sensitive, you have the proper approvals in place.
Sure.
And again, I understand that gets away from the organic authenticity of social media and what it can do, but if there is a concern within an organization, make sure the approval process is in place. Make sure that there is that paper trail, if you will, or that audit trail in place.
So I'm curious about this bring your own device to work thing now, right? So I think more companies are going to say, you know what, leave your iPads, your iPhones at home. We're going to supply you with a company one that has the firewall, that has proper encryption or whatever the case may be, or it does have Hootsuite on it.
But we used to be there.
We used to be there.
And then we went towards using your own device or the company supplied device for both personal and professional. You could be right. It could go back to, and this is the phone that we've given you, and the only thing that can be on it is the corporate accounts.
I think it's becoming more important now because whatever company it is, and however way if they get hacked or if they get improperly used by an employee, I think companies, if they haven't, are now realizing, social isn't just this thing that we do on the side. This is part of our PR. This is this is our branding. This impacts, are people going to shop with us? This impacts, are people going to invest with us? This impacts how people perceive us. As much as if we throw a bunch of money in a huge media campaign.
It certainly can. From a positive and a potential risk perspective as well.
Sure.
To be honest with you, when I saw these three things this morning or yesterday and today, was one of my first things was, audit. Time to do an audit. Who's got what where?
Where are the passwords?
Absolutely.
What are they? Who's got access? How are they using it? I think it's important because it's a big part of a company.
Absolutely.
Any last thoughts on that?
I think one of the things that needs to, one of the big things that comes down to education of our employees as well. And that's one of our big things that's on our plate for this year is educating all employees about social media, how it can benefit you, and the negative impacts of it as well.
Sure.
Online brand reputation management, online personal reputation management.
Yeah.
Two very important things that I know we're about to go down this year and focus on within our organization. Hopefully via that, you can arm people with all the tools, but if you don't arm them with the information to make sure that they protect yourself and the company, it means nothing. You just give them a tool and they can.
Interesting.
Right? You know what I mean?
Let's end off with something on a lighter note. for some people,
Okay.
and that's that Gregg Tilston is not on Clout, or has disabled his Clout for a while now. It's been a while.
It has been.
But there's all this talk about, what does Clout mean, and why, does it really properly measure influence or not? And I don't think anyone has ever, said that it was perfect. And then you've got cred, and then you've got these emails that everyone's receiving that they're the top 5% or 1% of LinkedIn. What does this really mean? And
I love those emails.
Yeah.
The narcissist in me absolutely loves that.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also fun to receive them and know that really this doesn't actually put a dime in my pocket. But then you see other experts, actually put that on their Facebook and are very proud of themselves.
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually talking with Saul Cole this afternoon.
Yeah.
And I mentioned to Saul that we were going to talk about this today, and one of the things he brought up was, influence doesn't fluctuate over an hour, or from hour to hour, or day to day.
Yeah.
If you're influential within a group, you're going to be influential once you come back from your 2-week holiday.
Yes.
So that was one of the big things that I personally had an issue with.
Yeah.
Then let's look at, and it's going now off on a bit of a tangent, but looking at the groups and the communities that you're influential in. Just because somebody has a clout score that's high, they may not be influential in the marketplace that you're marketing to.
Yeah.
Best example that I can personally say. Okay? If a lifestyle blogger, I have a lot of friends who are lifestyle bloggers, so forget the friends. A lifestyle blogger, I don't know, posts a link to a restaurant.
Sure.
I might click through it.
Yeah.
Show up my feet and I see it.
Yeah.
Okay. A food blogger.
Yeah.
For example, Joel, Foodie 411.
Yeah.
He posts something. I'm clicking through it.
Yeah.
Gotta be honest with you. I'm clicking through it because I know I like his content.
Yeah.
If Chef Jamie Kennedy posts that he's having a fish fry out in Prince Edward County.
Yeah.
A bit of one there. So he posted he's having a fish fry out in Prince Edward County. I'm clicking through it and I'm looking at the price.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely probably going to check it out.
Yeah.
If my wife's friend,
who
has a few hundred followers on Twitter, if she posts about that Foodie 411 posted the link to Jamie Kennedy's fish fry, you know what? Those tickets are already bought. I haven't even looked at it, and my wife has already gone and bought that.
Yeah.
So who's influencing me to go? My wife's friend, because of their personal relationship. So when I look at personally influence, we can certainly go out and get influencers to talk about us. And don't get me wrong, it's part of the strategy. It's an important part of our strategy. We do work with bloggers and travel bloggers and build that community. What I would really like to get to, though, is that you, regardless of your influence in travel or not, that you influence your wife or your mom or your cousin or whomever to book a flight center. That to me is, if I can do that, that drives way more specific, definable, KPI, ROI, whatever, throw every other acronym against it, value to our organization versus targeting a broader audience
based on
a customer.
Arbitrary number.
Based on that's not an arbitrary number. I'm sure it's better than when I disconnected. Cut the umbilical cord.
It is better because my cloud score has gone up, so I think it's better. I'm just kidding. But it's interesting, I'll tell you. So I disabled it as well, but then I re-enabled it because I knew what others, the people that I wanted to connect with, placed importance on that. Right? So I was going after, brands and people that said, wow, he or she has a certain clout score, must know what they're talking about. So I said, you know what, for better or for worse, I have to enable this so that if this is something that they do look at, will play in my favor.
Okay. I'm going to generalize here.
Sure.
Look at the people that have cut the umbilical cord with clout. I know the people that I know that have done it.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Their clout scores would be significant.
They would,
right?
Absolutely.
You do that.
Yeah.
If you're in a hotel,
okay,
and you're tweeting about your pillow's not soft enough, because I know you're sometimes a bit
I like
of
my
a
pillows,
process, right? Okay, so you're tweeting about the fact that the pillows aren't soft enough.
Okay.
I don't know if I said that, but whatever.
Right.
can't, via Hootsuite or whatever tool I'm using, go to it and see the followers that you have, okay, regardless of the number, the engagement, the people that are engaging with you, and I can't determine that you're influential, I question my social media strategy. More important than that, I don't care how many followers you have, how many people you're engaging, how influential those engagers are. I want to make sure that you've got a comfortable pillow.
Absolutely.
So, as a brand, you know, we need to engage every single mention. When I hear,
I agree with you.
When I hear, you know, and then you can prioritize, it drives me nuts.
But there are brands that are prioritizing based on whether it's followers, based on whether it's a cloud score or rating score, you know, based on what, you know, the PR book says who they are. You know, they are being prioritized.
That drives me nuts.
And it drives me nuts as well. So I think we agree with each other on that. So that was a good conversation there. But I know, thanks a lot for coming in. I do appreciate it. But I think, you know, just to end off, and not to have the last word, just how, you know, what you talk about in terms of inbound links. I think there's something to be said by brands engaging with tools like Cloud and Cred, that it brings to them some of this inbound links, some of these eyeballs and mentions that they believe, you know, can only lead to, you know, better and bigger things. You know, again, generalizing there, right?
Yes.
Because if more people, whether that person, you know, is driving that Cadillac ATS that people are now getting their second turns on, who do not drive, I think that people that, you know, mention and take photographs and all things like that help to build that brand's online reputation.
If I wanted to, not to be argumentative, if I wanted to sell dog food, okay, I would be, if I was a marketer in the dog food industry, I would be looking at all the dog rescue people within my social circle. And again, I'm not just talking about my social circle.
Sure.
If I look at my social circle and I look at the people that are very passionate about dog rescues, the engagement they got in the content that they put out every time they put out a dog that, you know, has been rescued. It's not just the, oh, this dog needs to be rescued. This dog's been rescued. Look at this dog in its new home. I mean, their engagement is absolutely amazing. So if I was a marketer in the dog food industry, I would be trying to target those people, despite the fact that many of them have, you know, 300 friends on Facebook. I'm just throwing an arbitrary number, and a couple hundred followers on Twitter.
You know what needs to
And
happen?
their fight score is probably not that high.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. I think more people need to hear what people like you have to say, so that they understand that there's not really a shortcut to engagement. That it takes thinking, it takes planning, and you might not be talking to the sexy people in social media, but you're actually talking to people who, what they have to say, a very tight community listens to them.
He said that, not me.
Right?
Just saying.
Greg, thank you. Where can people find you online? How can they connect with you?
Twitter at Gregg Tilston, G-R-E-G-G, so 2 G's at the end of Greg. Tilston, T-I-L-S-T-O-N. Facebook.com/Gregg Tilston.
Awesome.
LinkedIn, Gregg Tilston. I don't know. It's one brand. Personal brand.
There you go.
Awesome.
And hook up if you need to travel. He'll help you out. My name is Karim Kanji. Thank you so much for joining us. Please share this video with everyone. Let them listen to one of the experts in digital, not just here in Toronto and Canada, but across the world. Thanks again for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.